Hi everyone, this is Brian Hayes and welcome to a brief introduction on how to play fall-offs on the saxophone. The term fall-off just equates to the sound we produce with our voice when we do this. Dow, ba-ba-da-ba-da-bow. So that last note, the pitch that is very defined at the start, ba, falls off to an undefined pitch. Dow. And also the volume and the amount of air that we're pushing out of our mouth decreases once we hit that first note. Dow. Now fall-offs can be very short. Dow. They can be medium in length and pitch drop. Bow. They can be really extended and slow. Bow. Our voice can easily produce a siren. Oh. Now there's hundreds of micro pitches in that siren. Oh. We can only produce the 12 notes of a chromatic scale. Now on the B-flat saxophone we can play without any trick fingerings 2.5 octaves of those chromatic scales. We're not interested in those when we're trying to simulate the sound of a fall-off on our saxophone. We're trying to duplicate the vocal effect. Bow, bow, bow. That sound of just falling off the edge of a cliff musically, where the pitch seems to be dow, and we don't hear the splash at the end when the rock hits the water. We never get to hearing that. It's that decreasing volume and the pitch change. Let's have a listen to a fall-off on the saxophone. I'm just going to play B-flat. I'm going to start on the defined pitch of B-flat, third line B-flat, no octave key on the tenor saxophone. I'll just play a fall-off. Did you notice that I didn't play something that sounded like this? Not at all. I did not play in the spirit of a diatonic scale, a major scale, or a chromatic scale. I simply went, bow. Okay, a lot of air at the end. What are those notes? Can't really work out what the notes are. Great, because you can't really work out what the notes are when you go, bow. You know, what's going on there? You do not want to confuse a fall-off with a slur between two predetermined notes. Like it's not starting on B flat and slurring to F. Ba. It's not that. It's not a I actually just think of running my fingers down the sax wherever my fingers want to go. Because all I'm trying to do is lengthen the tube as I back off the air. Now, I'll just improvise a little bit. I'll just play something straight out of my head. And somewhere in this, you will hear some fall-offs. I'm not thinking of doing them. I'm just going to go on a very quick musical journey now out of my mind. But have a listen. It's a natural part of my playing and of just about any of the great saxophone players down through the history of time. All incorporate fall-offs as a natural part of their musical vocabulary. So here we go. Did you hear, like at the end, it was a very extended sort of fall-off? There are a lot of other little slides in there. One of the most famous sax solos of all time in the pop field was played by Edgar Winter, the late Edgar Winter, who was a great saxophone player, and he's responsible for the all-time classic tenor sax solo in Tina Turner's great international smash hit, Simply the Best. Now, for copyright reasons, I'm not going to play Tina Turner's version here. You can look that up on YouTube. If you simply type in Simply the Best Tina Turner original recording, you'll come up with the first in the list will actually be a great high definition copy of the original recording that has Edgar's tenor sax solo starting around about the 3-minute mark. Now, the reason I'm speaking about Simply the Best and the tenor sax solo in that is it's loaded with fall-offs. Now, Edgar Winter did not read music when he played that solo. He simply played out of his head. It's only about an 8 or a 9 bar solo. It's a really famous signature landmark in pop tenor sax playing. Fantastic. I strongly recommend you work hard on being able to play the sax solo to Simply the Best. Now, I'm going to put the score up on the screen, and you'll notice there are a number of, they look like slurs, but they don't go to another note. That's how in music we document where we want a person to play a fall-off. You'll notice in the score that there are fall-offs from F sharp, from E, fourth space E, from E above high C. There's only a handful of notes in this solo, with one exception, and that's the very last note in the solo. This sax part is very accessible to all saxophone players. Now, I'm also going to put on the screen, following the tenor sax transcription, I'm going to put up an alto sax or E-flat saxophone equivalent. Remember, the solo was played on the tenor sax, and this is one of the challenges in the saxophone family, that the Pink Panther, for example, Plas Johnson's famous original recording of the Pink Panther with the Henry Mancini Orchestra, was played on the tenor sax. Yes, you can transcribe that for the alto sax or play it on the soprano sax or the baritone, but the real spirit of the Pink Panther is a tenor sax solo. The spirit of Simply the Best is a tenor sax solo. If you play the alto sax, use this as an exercise, because in real life, you might be playing alto sax in a band, a covers band, and you'll be asked to play songs where the original recording was done on the tenor sax. You have to get good at being able to play solos that were written and played on a different member of the saxophone family. Here's Edgar Winter's fantastic tenor saxophone solo from Tina Turner's Simply the Best. So after 3, 1, 2... Now finally for today, for those of you who play the E-flat alto saxophone or the baritone saxophone, the transcribed solo sees you playing in the key that has 4 sharps. It also sees the altissimo note at the end of the solo being B, B above high C. Again, a very high note on a saxophone. If you aren't currently up to speed with the altissimo note, simply play that last note as it's written. Don't do the 8 VA. Don't worry about taking it up an octave. So the same with the tenor. Play that solo just as high E, not altissimo high E. There's nothing to be gained by hurting yourself by prematurely expanding into the stratosphere on the saxophone. Okay, here we go on the alto saxophone with the transcribed solo of Simply the Best. 1, 2... I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and perhaps learnt something new from it. Remember to stay in touch by subscribing to my YouTube channel. And also, if you'd like to explore some personalised one-on-one Skype tuition, I'm working on a weekly basis with some really inspiring students all around the world, and I'd be happy to work with you to improve your journey forward on the saxophone. Bye for now.